Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here.
Don't tell the elf.
Yeah, Hollywood, you know I love you more than what I should. Yeah, Hollywood, well kiss me good. Yeah, Hollywood, you know I love you more than...
Will you guys join me one last time? Or supposedly one last time? Yes, of course, what I always like to do, like every good Jewish boy and girl on Christmas, I like to go to the movies. And for the last 2 years, I have gone to see Peter Jackson's Hobbit films, and now we are here today to discuss the final film, based on, of course, J.R.R. Tolkien's masterpiece of a novel, The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. Now, you probably will recall what I said about the last film, The Desolation of Smaug, and I'll put a link to a whole bunch of videos, including my reviews of The Desolation of Smaug, and of course the first Hobbit film, An Unexpected Journey, as well as the Lord of the Rings trilogy throwback days that I did as well. But now that we're here, we actually know what happens, especially if you've read the book. How do I explain the Battle of the Five Armies without any spoilers? It's all about 5 armies coming together to start a war, to take back what is theirs. However, it didn't have the feeling that I got when I went to see Return of the King, which was the last of the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, but at the same time, that's not really, I feel, what you're supposed to get from the end of the Battle of the Five Armies. You're just supposed to be excited to know that there's more of this story coming, and the way that it's put together in the film is tied together beautifully, as well as a wonderful send-off with a beautiful song called The Last Goodbye, sung by Billy Boyd. If you don't know who Billy Boyd is, he played Pippin in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But once again, we get a great film with beautiful grandeur, great backgrounds, and this time it kind of didn't feel like a lot of fan fiction was put into this movie. We also got some additional people coming into the film, especially one that I never would have expected was Billy Connolly, who played Thorin's cousin Dane. And for the small role that he had, he really was funny. The battles were very, very good, but not as grand as you would remember from the Fields of Pelennor in The Return of the King, but I will say that the part of the film that really worked for me was Lee Pace as Thranduil. I really appreciated the fact that here is an elf, and we're supposed to look at elves as being pure, and yet this elf is just broken. Something had happened to him. It's a little uncovered in the films, but it's just incredible to see these elves who are supposed to be high, and then you get this one guy, this one elf, who just seems so empty inside and just doesn't really care about life. In the end, is this a good movie? It's not great, pretty much like the trilogy as a whole. I'm happy to know that Peter Jackson did turn The Hobbit into a trilogy. And I will also go back to my Desolation of Smaug video because the extended edition was so much better and really made me appreciate the second film more, and I'm having a feeling that the same thing will happen when the Battle of the Five Armies becomes an extended edition at the end of 2015, but as a whole, they are fun, lighthearted, exciting movies, and as the final film in this trilogy draws to a close, you feel it getting heavier, you feel it getting more emotional, and you know that there's a darker time that's on the way. So, The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, I'm gonna give it 3 out of 4. It's something that will make you anticipate pulling the Lord of the Rings films off your shelves and watching them again, but will you go back to the Hobbit trilogy? Absolutely. The whole thing is fantastic, and I appreciate the fact that Peter Jackson did this for fans and newcomers to these stories alike, but is this really the end? I don't believe so. I feel that there is more Lord of the Rings in store, more of J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle-earth that we are not sure of just yet, but I have a strange feeling something is on the horizon. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But if I'm right, wonderful. So thank you very much for watching once again, guys. It's always a pleasure, and I will see you in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.